So, welcome everybody. Episode 4, the Prism Jiu-Jitsu podcast. We got a special guest today, Byron. I didn't ask you last name.
Byron Graham.
Byron Graham, nice. So Byron runs. Well, go ahead, tell him.
I can tell you about our nonprofit. We have a nonprofit called Fostering Jiu-Jitsu. It's a jiu-jitsu-based nonprofit to help kids train jiu-jitsu. We fundraise pretty much all over the country. My wife and I. Her name is Britt. We have a son named Forrest. He goes with us everywhere. He's 1 year old, and
Nice.
he wears his gi when he's out because you have to represent.
Yeah.
And we call him Baby Coach. One of the kids when we were out on the road called him Baby Coach, and I was like, that's going to be his name, Baby Coach.
Nice.
And what we do to fundraise is we make jam. And I started making jam 3 years ago, and it's turned into sort of an art of making jam. And it's like cooking anything, once you start cooking something, you start to develop like a style. So we make a lot of jam. We sell our jam, then we make donations to kids to train. So we focus on foster care kids, group home kids, and also youth athletes. So, and yep.
Do you sell the jam like exclusively in like events like we're about to have, like these pop-up fundraisers, or do you have like an online store where people can?
Not an official online store yet. We pretty much only go to jiu-jitsu schools. I really wanted a grassroots nonprofit.
Yeah.
And fortunate enough, there's enough jiu-jitsu where we can travel across the country, meet a lot of interesting people, train jiu-jitsu, sell our jams, make donations to kids. I think it's really sort of a sign of where we are with jiu-jitsu. It's like it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I guess I can get into how we started this. I was a contractor before, and I was doing like wiring, like putting security cameras in a group home. And I didn't grow up that way, so I never saw a group home before. Have you guys ever seen group homes before? So you know what they look like. And so there was a fight that broke out at this group home, and I wasn't trained jiu-jitsu yet. And I was like, wow, these kids live rough. So I was trying to figure out, what could you do for them? Can you hear me? Are we good? All right.
It does make a big difference when the mic.
This mic likes direct. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I was at the group home, and I started training jiu-jitsu because I would go back there and fix cameras. I'd look at these kids, and they were all just really in bad shape. And I decided, it'd be really good to get these kids into jiu-jitsu. Then I kind of started talking to different people about it once I started training, and then before I knew it, I would ask people, hey, why don't we, bring some kids down to different schools so they can come train? The group homes weren't that interested in doing that. So then I started to realize, well, if we're going to do something, I have to do something on my own, something independent. And fortunately enough, when I started my nonprofit 3 years ago, we kind of lucked into making jam, and which kind of gave us sort of like a Girl Scout cookies sort of thing. And
Did you? I was going to ask this when you first said the jam thing. Did you just happen to get into making jam and then you started the nonprofit, or were you like, did you start? You're like, all right, well, we need to sell something. So what are we going to do?
All right. Long story short, it's kind of all. I like that.
George, can you do me a favor? If you come in, can you walk down that way? Sounds like people having a party on the roof, maybe. Yeah, please.
Hey, but keep him in the video. That'd be hilarious. Don't edit.
We don't do any editing anyway. So.
anyway, so okay, we started making the jam. I don't know about you, but life sort of works weird for me.
Yeah.
I came up with the idea for a nonprofit. I told my buddy, I really need like a girl like that can help me do this. I need a girl version of myself. And I swear to God, within 2 weeks, I pretty much initiated my future wife into jiu-jitsu and into this nonprofit with me. Yeah. So it was kind of like manifesting, thinking about what I wanted, and then things kind of would happen. And then the next thing, once we started the nonprofit, I just got my letter. It was like July of like 2019 that I have an official nonprofit, and I was trying to figure out what we were going to do. And the reason why we started making jam is because a girl donated some plums to us, and they were terrible. You couldn't eat them. And so they sat on our table for like 2 weeks, and I just told my wife one time, my grandmother used to make jam. Why don't we make jam? And so we just started making jam from there on. And then Jams for Jiu-Jitsu is our tagline. So everything kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything kind of was going together. And then one day I was like coming out of a grocery store and I saw Girl Scout cookie girls there. And I was like, hey, we're a nonprofit. We could be in front of a Walmart now and, you know, and promoting local schools, trying to get more youth. And because millions of people go into these different stores every day.
Sure, yeah.
And so then I decided to just Google how much Girl Scout cookies makes every year.
It's a lot, right?
How much do you guys think?
Millions? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, guess.
Like 10 million?
Oh my God. How much do you think? Come on.
75.
Oh, yeah, you're not even close. Not even close. All right, what do you think?
Oh, shit. Well, since just giving your reaction, I was gonna guess around what Ian said. So let's, I don't know, a couple hundred million.
800 million a year is Girl
Dang.
Scout cookies.
I need to start making cookies.
So
Cookies for jiu-jitsu.
once I
You
realized
just need to be a Girl Scout.
you could be that now. And so once I saw that was the number, I couldn't believe it either. And I was thinking like, I don't know what Girl Scout cookie, I don't know what the money, how it translates to the program, but I knew that even if I made a fraction of what they make, I could make an impact in youth's lives with jiu-jitsu. So when we started the nonprofit, we focused on foster care group home kids. When COVID hit, it was a whole bunch of youth that train that weren't training. And I saw, well,
Because their gyms were closed, or
it was
because
the
like
gyms were closed, the parents were tight on money. It was a lot of things. It was kind of a swarm of things that all hit at one time. And that's when I realized all the kids were at risk to lose jiu-jitsu, not kids that train, kids that have never seen it before.
Yeah.
So I started to think about what was more important, the kids that currently train or the kids that haven't seen jiu-jitsu. And I think right now probably the kids that currently train, because we need to have mentors going forward. Otherwise, if they're not training anymore, then we kind of lose the base of jiu-jitsu and we lose all the schools. We need to have more schools. We just don't have enough. We've traveled, my wife and I, we've been across the country 3 or 4 times, slept in our van. We sleep in our van when we're on the road. And because I wanted to be grassroots, I didn't want to spend all my money in hotels and then have no money to donate.
Yeah, you're raising all this money, but then it all just goes to your overhead.
Yes,
and stuff. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, and you know, most nonprofits, you know, really like, I think 5% of it maybe goes to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
The majority goes to admin. So we're trying to come up with a way to make it all kind of come together, you know.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And so, yeah, so we came up with a way. We started, like I said, fundraising across the country, and we've met a lot of interesting people along the way.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Why did you decide to? Why the focus now mostly on the kids that are already training?
Because there was a lot of those kids that weren't going to have money for like tournaments and different things, and we wanted to be able to try to cover costs for tournaments. So we started making donations for youth. We usually make around $300 donations every time we make a donation to any particular youth.
Yeah.
Most of the youth we find because we go to these schools and we see the kids there and they're training hard, and we just kind of want to celebrate them. Jiu-Jitsu's kind of had a tradition of giving away like equipment, but not really money. So I'd love to see more resources in Jiu-Jitsu from all the manufacturers and the supporters of Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that way people have, we went to a Jeff Glover seminar once, and he was talking about
Where'd you go?
this was a
Jeff
seminar.
is the man.
Yeah, he is the man. Yeah, he really is. And he was talking about how BJJ Fanatics really helped his career because, you know, now he could make a flat income at least and then do seminars and all this other stuff. So it kind of gives resources so, you know, our journey has been interesting because I've been to so many different schools. I think we've been to over 200 schools just driving.
Nice.
Yeah. And so you get to hear the stories and get to hear the real stories, you know, why people start training jiu-jitsu, where they come, their backgrounds, just like you guys today, just talking to you guys about you're new to jiu-jitsu. So, you know, the struggle of being aggro, which is, it's a problem. A lot of people have this problem when they first start training jiu-jitsu. So I love hearing all these different stories. You know, it's inspiring.
BJJ. I was just talking about this earlier this morning. BJJ Fanatics changed the whole jiu-jitsu world, even outside of not. I mean, obviously, it made it more accessible for people to learn, but even outside of that, because it almost like doubled or tripled or maybe more the ability for someone to make a living on jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Because owning a school takes more than being good at jiu-jitsu. But if you sell BJJ Fanatics, I mean, you just have to have the information, and then they'll, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you have to know how to explain it, but you don't have to run a business. You know, you can just give them your stuff.
Give them your stuff.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
your thing.
Yeah.
Which Jeff, the way he explained it, I was like, that's pretty cool for a guy like him. He doesn't want to have a school.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't want that pressure. I don't blame him. It's a lot of pressure to have a school.
Yeah, he said he's tired of dealing with people being wusses.
It could be that, you know, and, you know, it's like, it's hard, you know, trying to get payment from people. I had a contract in business for a long time. You know, people stiff you. You know, it's a lot of weird stuff you deal with in business. In business, you know, you want to be nice, but you have to be really, like, not hard, but, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to deal with other things. So,
yeah.
you know.
I'm going to hand the mic off so you guys can ask questions.
Just a quick question, can you talk about some of the journey, like at least one journey of one of your kids that you worked with that went through your program and how they changed and evolved into who they are now?
Well, like I said, when we started a nonprofit, it was before COVID, so we weren't really making donations yet because we didn't make any money. Post-COVID, we were able to sort of develop some funds, and then we kept making donations to a lot of the youth athletes. So when you go to the tournaments, I don't know how many donations we've made, but we've made a lot of donations to a lot of different kids. They're all inspiring because I'll give you a good example. There's two brothers, they're twins. They train at a school called Cola BJJ up north, and they're amazing twins. Twins, you know, twins in jiu-jitsu is kind of a cool thing. You know, the Rotolo twins. Well, these two twins, their name is Legend and Legacy.
Okay.
It doesn't get any more gangster than
All right.
Legend and Legacy, right? Well, I first saw them before we were making donations. I saw them at a tournament, and I saw their professor, Professor Cola, and those kids. Okay, I'll be honest. You don't see a lot of black kids training jiu-jitsu. I really like seeing more black kids train jiu-jitsu because I think it's like, well, I think a lot of them would be really good at it if it was open, but people don't know jiu-jitsu. They know football, they know baseball, but they don't know jiu-jitsu. So when I saw these two twins, I was like, man, that's something. I know Lloyd Irving out of the East Coast. He's known for having a lot of like minority kids that are in jiu-jitsu. And I was like, wow, that's a market that we really need to tap. Yeah. So watching them compete, and now those are the kids that are in the blue belt division now. I don't know if you've paid attention to the blue belt division, but it's a bunch of like savage kids that have been training for 7 years, and they're blue belts. They're not real blue belts. They're like, who would you describe them as? Those.
Any kids in particular? You're talking about like
just those kids
the
that have
young...
been training from like 6 or 10, and now they're 15 going on 16, and they're blue belts.
They're blue belts because they weren't old enough to get it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting because I was watching the have you seen the Who's Next?
I haven't watched that show yet. Yeah.
You should watch it, dude. It's
okay.
actually really good. It's like the jiu-jitsu version of the Ultimate Fighter, but it's better than the Ultimate Fighter because jiu-jitsu guys are cooler than MMA fighters.
That's true.
But there's a couple blue belts in that, and we were just talking about like, why are there blue belts in there? And that's kind of the reason, you know. And it's.
Are you talking about that really tall guy?
Well, because his name is Big Dan, but he's
Dan,
20.
yeah.
He's not that young. But like J-Rod.
Okay,
you know what I mean. He hasn't been training very long, but he wrestled as a kid. He didn't do jiu-jitsu as a kid, but he wrestled for like his life as a kid. You know, so I don't know. It's hard to. It's a little bit.
Are they their own category in some weird way?
They kind of are. Like they're almost like. I mean, it couldn't happen because there's not enough of them, but there almost kind of needs some sort of intermediary belt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I mean, it's not like it's unfair because they came up through the ranks. You know
No.
what I mean?
They're all really good. It's just like if you're another blue belt who started training 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, you're going against a 6-year veteran. That's pretty hard to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
I think I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my wife about this when we were watching Who's Next. Training in the kids class though, I don't, because the rate of retention for kids is much lower.
Yes, it is.
So the training in the kids class, I feel like, say if you're 10, it takes maybe 3 or 4 months to make the progress that it takes maybe like a 20-year-old.
True.
They could do that in about a month. Like I don't think it's exactly like, it's not 6 years is 6 years no matter how old you are, but it's definitely an advantage.
So you say if they started at like 10, and I'll be honest with you, probably won't be till they're like 16 before they really feel awful to deal with. Like, because I remember some kids at my school that are now like 20-year-olds, but I remember training when they were 12, and I could beat them all the time. Yeah. And now it's hopeless. Like they do things to you. You know what I'm saying? Because they have man strength. They have
to get their man strength.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But anyways, that was so. So we were talking about kids competing and like Lloyd Irvin's kids, and you reaching like minority youth and things like that.
Yes. So when I saw those kids, I was like, man, I really want to make donations to those kids in particular, because I know it's a group of kids that are not used to jiu-jitsu. Like for myself, my ultimate goal is to own a nonprofit school in my town, in the city of Pomona, where I live. There's not a lot of, there's jiu-jitsu schools there, but around us, but there's no. Most of the people in my neighborhood they don't know about jiu-jitsu. You know, they know about all the other sports, but they don't know about anything else. So I want to be able to ultimately fundraise and run my school through our jams, just like Girl Scout cookies. Yeah, definitely.
That was before we opened the school. My original plan for my first school was going to be like a nonprofit thing like that, but it's hard to find the people. It's because it's hard to like because in like we were talking about like in foster homes and things that some kid you kind of have to find just the right kids where they need some guidance, they need some structure, but they're not entirely.
They can't be like destroyed. Basically.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, because it's I know a lot of schools who they comp memberships for kids to train in lower income communities, and it doesn't always work out good, and most part it doesn't work out good because a lot of those kids they're in a real tough spot. You know, they've grown up a certain way by 15, 16. I don't know how much more impression you can make, but you just have to keep going. You're gonna find some diamonds, you know what I'm saying, and then unfortunately you're gonna find some that are not, or that are not gonna. I always tell people, you don't really help people. You can be helpful, but you can never really help anybody. You just have to be helpful.
You can open the door. You can open a door.
You can open a lot of doors, and but you can't force them into the door. You can't tell them, hey, you can just show them the way. So I think having these great youth jiu-jitsu athletes like Legend and Legacy, and I tell you, this is how it all comes full circle. We were at a kids tournament called Dream, and I think Legend and Legacy are Nigerian, okay? Or one of the parents is Nigerian, and one of the kids that was competing, their family's from Nigeria. We have a banner that shows different kids we've made donations to. That kid saw all the other kids, but saw Legend and Legacy. So that connection was there. So, and it taught me something really valuable. People are looking at different things, and they're looking at how it all connects to them. And I was like, okay, that's cool, because that keeps inspiring that young kid, because he's like 8 years younger than Legend and Legacy. You see what I'm saying? At some point, somebody will see him, and they'll think the same thing about him in the future. So I think it's a positive. Yeah, definitely a positive.
Nice. Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Not quite related, but how many kids are you sponsoring right now, and are they like sponsored on an ongoing basis, and or is it just like you help them get to a tournament that they can't afford to get to, or maybe it's a case-by-case basis type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other question is about your own jiu-jitsu training journey. What do you feel like you changed in your approach early on that had the most positive effect?
As far as helping the kids, we don't have enough resources to fill the void. The void is like this, and our resources are like this. So what we had to make a decision. We had some foster kids that were training jiu-jitsu that we funded their membership, but like I said, keeping them training wasn't easy. We had a school actually down in San Ysidro. We had 2 kids there that we were paying for their membership every month, and then eventually they kind of fell off and stopped training. So that's kind of a problem. So we decided to focus more on the youth athletes because it's easier to see where they're going because there's a roadmap. You know, I mean, I'd love to say that we could get every group home kid to train jiu-jitsu, but that's not realistic. Realistic approach to this is you're going to have to take each one case by case. Yeah. And we try to make donations pretty much every month. Last year we donated $10,000 just from our jams, which I thought was pretty good. And
Awesome, man.
And I think we can do more. You know, I'm hoping to double or triple that, but I know I have to sell a lot of jam. We used to sell like maybe 300 or 400 jams a month. Now we do about 1,300 jams a month, and I make them all. So it's a lot of work. So, yeah. So, and then, you know, it's opportunities. Like life gives you these different opportunities. So, I used to have an Airbnb, and I would rent it out to a lot of people would come for the last 5 or 6 years. I had a little urban farm Airbnb, and COVID kind of killed that. So what I decided to do was turn the Airbnb into my kitchen. So basically I have like a commercial kitchen where we cook all the jams there. And if I would have never had the Airbnb, I wouldn't have had that space already ready. It was like perfectly ready for me to do the next thing. So what was your other question about the journey?
Your own jiu-jitsu journey, when you got started early on, what you had to change, what you changed that made the most positive effect on your training?
Being honest and taking L's, losing. That changed. Once I started taking L's in jiu-jitsu, everything got better in jiu-jitsu. I was never really aggro to start because I was older, so I couldn't just, you know, I don't have the resilience of a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old. So I had to like be smarter, work smarter, not harder. Yep. So I still live by that. So when I started training jiu-jitsu, I did fundamental classes up until purple belt. I would do fundamental and sparring. I thought that was the best situation for me. I didn't start doing advanced classes until purple belt because they told me I couldn't get stripes on my purple belt until I did some advanced classes. That's the only reason why I did advanced classes. But I'm a fundamentals guy. I think basics matters, you know. If you can do really cool moves, that's great. But if you can't do basic things, and basics is a problem that I see a lot because we travel all the time. So I see a lot of people suffer from basics. Yeah.
I was talking with that with I saw one of my friends earlier, and he was a wrestler, and we were talking about jiu-jitsu. And I was like, we were talking about the Glover fight. Remember? The Glover against Teixeira versus Yuri. And he was using basic white belt moves a lot. And I was like, wow, that's Nick taught us that, and it works. Like, it works. It's like they're doing the stuff we're learning as white belts, and it works. So, you know, in the MMA fight, so like it must work. It must work all, you know, most.
Look at Tynan.
Yeah.
What does Tynan do? Basic jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And his movement, it's just,
yeah,
it's hard to stop basic good stuff, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, man, because I was like, he was doing one move, and we're like, hey, Nick taught us that one.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's sick. Yeah. I don't know. It was I forgot what it was, but there was a lot. We were just like, I know that move. We know the move. It's a white belt move, right? Like, yeah. So,
Well, yeah,
you know?
yes and no, but like basic moves. Okay, in jiu-jitsu, what do most people get submitted by? Thank you. It's like a day one move. Yeah, you learn that day one in jiu-jitsu, so people lose to that. I mean,
I mean, Teixeira lost to a rear naked choke, and that's a white belt move right there, right?
That's what I'm saying. So guillotine,
It was a
whatever.
rear naked choke at the end. Yep, he's on his back.
Yeah.
Oh wait, maybe I forgot what I was going to say in the time it took you to get.
No, but that's cool, man.
What was I
That's
gonna say?
awesome.
Oh yeah, it was just in terms of like talking about basics and stuff.
Yes.
So one of the most common moves you'll see like in a beginner's course is cross collar choke
Yes.
from the mount, right?
And it's so good too.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched, bringing this back to BJJ Fanatics, actually, I watched Hodger
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It was, I sent it to AJ, I was like, dude, watch this. He took, it was like a 23-minute long video just explaining cross collar choke from the mount. And I watched it and I was like, he pointed out a couple like really small details. Or not, they weren't even small, they were just details that I never had thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to class and rolled with a brown belt that's here and a couple of the other like colored belts. Just cross collar choked everyone from the mount. I was like, dang, I never used cross collar choke. I saw those like little details. I was like, dude, because it's a basics move, but there's like high level advanced details like within that you can add into those basic moves. You know?
Are you familiar with the school Kaiki in Los Angeles? Kaiki is one of them. His I can't remember the guy's name. Oh man, I wish I could remember his name. But his father's is like a red belt.
Oh, okay.
High level.
Yeah.
And so he has a bunch of sons, and the sons all train. I got to train with one of his sons. And I think he's like a 4th or 5th degree black belt. You know, he's like barely 40. And he just had me in close guard. And I was like, man, you know, I don't ever get in close guard. I never stay there.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And I just got to see like what happens when people have a good close guard, because Hodger has a good close guard.
Yeah.
And that's where he sets up those basic moves, you know. So I think a lot of people like I try to go back, and whenever I see the basic stuff like that, I try to just reinterpret it. Same thing. It always works.
Yeah.
It always works.
For sure.
Yeah.
So your biggest lesson for we didn't mention actually that you were a black belt.
Yeah.
We didn't say that in the intro. So that was your biggest lesson was learning to take the losses.
Yes.
That's hard, man. Especially the higher you get in your like belt in the belt system, it's harder to take the losses. I remember like because especially as I was trying to reach certain goals, like there was the times that I got the most stagnant in my improvement was when the way I would think about my roles was like, all right, am I good enough to be whatever level I want to be? And then every day at the end of class, I'm like, shoot, well, I lost these matches. Like maybe I'm not good enough or whatever. Instead of like taking it to being like, all right, that's how I can get better. Baby coach.
That's baby coach right there. That's baby coach. Yeah.
But as soon as I just be like, all right, I can't worry about that. Like I just got to be as good as possible. Then I just have to take whatever lessons that I learn.
Yes.
Then especially when you get better at how to learn the lessons, because you might like when in the beginning you might be like, I keep getting cross collar choke from mount, but you don't know enough like jiu-jitsu principles to figure out on your own like, well, how can I stop it? You know. But once you admit you have to like, you know, look things up online, talk to your coach, maybe trial and error. But then once you kind of know the language really well and you can be like, this is what's happening, and you can think about it, be like, okay, well, this would be the counter. Like you can come up with it yourself.
Yes.
That's when like things take off. You know, like then when you get caught by things and you're like, okay, well, next time I do this, then you go back and you get that same guy and you're like, and then you remember it for next time. You know, but it all starts with being able to lose in the first place.
Well, so it ties in well with our nonprofit because we travel to a lot of schools, and I have to train pretty much at every school we go to. We train. If it's not me, it's my wife that trains. And she's a blue belt, but she wrestled, but so she's got a little something else. And so I'm always testing what I think, you know, and I'm feeling what different people are doing and showing people, talking to people about, you know, like, because a lot of people still think in jiu-jitsu, oh yeah, you caught my arm. Like I shouldn't leave my arm there. I'm like, nah, I'm moving your arm.
Yeah, I made it be there.
I made it be there. It's not like you left your arm. It just flaps here like this. But a lot of people new in jiu-jitsu, they think they leave their arms like here magically. No. Your arm was here, and then I moved it over here.
Right,
I made it straighter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk about like how jiu-jitsu like affected your life, and then why it's important for, or why don't we talk about how each of us, how jiu-jitsu like affected our lives, and then so we can tie that into why it's important for these kids to have jiu-jitsu that have a hard time accessing it.
Let's start with our teenager over here.
Oh, me? I don't know, man. I think I met a lot of great people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think that's one of the biggest things. Like not only do I train, but my son and wife now train.
Good.
We all have kind of made this family here because of Nick.
Yes.
And it all starts with Nick, you know, so.
All I did was pay rent in the building, man.
No,
You know
bro,
what I mean?
but there's a difference, man, because it's like you have a culture here that's part of you that you lent to us. Did you say that too, AG, you know?
Well, from what I hear, this school is different.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, even Chuck said it was different, you know, and Mike said it's a lot different than other schools, you know. So there's something special here, man.
My goal initially, like originally, was so like my business plan was to not. Obviously, I needed to pay the bills, but I was like, I don't like once the bills are paid, then the terms of how much money we're making is not the focus. It's about the experience that people have here. Right, yeah. So creating a certain energy. But honestly, man, you know, I don't, it's funny because I think people give me some credit for it, but I'm not even like a good people person. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can be, like I can choose to, but like I'm definitely an introvert, and like, but we just, what we have, I think I don't know, man. I think that partially jiu-jitsu and the way that I teach jiu-jitsu, and like we talk about all the time, like is when new people come up here, so we do 6 rounds every class, three situational sparring, 3 regular sparring, and when you come here day one, you don't have to do all the rounds. If you're about to throw up, you can stop, but you have to spar, you know. And I think that jiu-jitsu itself and exposing people to real jiu-jitsu weeds out certain personality types. And we also like kind of were blessed in the beginning with a core group of guys that were all really positive people. And then when we start with positive people, that attracts more positive people. And but anyways, so I don't know if I take any credit for it, but I am happy that it worked out that way. But I think that's what I think that's a huge thing. Just
because it's you. Yeah, so like we've been to many different jiu-jitsu schools, and a lot of professors don't like to take credit because they think I don't know what they think. Maybe they think it's going to go to their head, but we've seen all the schools that have great family schools, and it's the culture starts from you, trickles down. It's the same hierarchy as the belt system, you know. You have to have it. You know, because otherwise, what's the purpose of doing all this stuff, you know? And let's just face it, jiu-jitsu is a lot of nerds. We're all kind of nerds in jiu-jitsu. Let's just really be real, okay? It's it's the weirdest, you know, choking people is the most antisocial thing you can do, right? And so, I mean, we talk about it all the time with my wife, and we're always talking about it because we're kind of nerds too, but you know, I do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, but I'm not sure if that's because it's a thinking game. Yeah. I mean, if you look at all the greats in jiu-jitsu, especially the current ones, it's harder for them to be charismatic as like Floyd Mayweather type. Maybe you'll have a couple. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, totally, for sure.
That because it's such a mental game. So, you know.
It makes so much sense that it attracts like nerdy people though, because including myself. But it's because like, imagine like if somebody grew up, like I don't know, like not being the jock or whatever in school, and then I was like, if I went up to them and told them like, listen, you can like manhandle all those jocks by outthinking and being smarter. You're like, okay, tell me more about this. You know what I mean? Like,
think about who does CrossFit. Rarely CrossFit people come to jiu-jitsu. It's rare.
It's not a lot of CrossFit.
It's not a lot of CrossFitters because CrossFit has some other element to it that requires.
Okay. Not a lot of thinking. So I was on the shit. Wish I was on the mic.
you know what I'm saying? So I pay attention to who shows up at jiu-jitsu. You go to jiu-jitsu class. Okay, the nerd is the one who stays.
Mm-hmm.
The buff guy or girl always quits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The buffer they are, that usually now. Don't get me wrong. We have buff people in jiu-jitsu, but they're buff and they train jiu-jitsu. That's different.
Yeah.
Sort of, or it's like it integrated through. You know what I'm saying?
And this is definitely like I should say this just in case, because we have one team member that is also a big time CrossFitter. He's our only one, but he's an awesome guy and he's super cool and humble. So we're speaking generally.
There'll be one.
Yeah.
But there won't be like 40.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Every school will have at least one.
Yeah.
But I've never seen like 20 CrossFitters that are at a jiu-jitsu school ever.
Yeah.
And so I think it's because of jiu-jitsu's harder, and it forces them to have to deal with the interpersonal thing, because I think it's weird, like you say, it's like nerd kind of culture is in jiu-jitsu, but it's also like introverts are into jiu-jitsu, but you can't be like you can be macho too, like but that doesn't last very long in jiu-jitsu, because if you're not good, it's not going to work.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Orlando Sanchez, are you familiar with Orlando Sanchez? He's a huge guy. I've trained with him before, but he's really good too.
Yeah.
Like he's not like a joke at all.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge, amazing jiu-jitsu guy who can actually teach you some really. We went to his school a few months ago, brought our fundraiser there, and he taught us some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pass I use, I learned from one of his students 4 years ago.
Oh, nice.
And I still use it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think jiu-jitsu just brings this other type of character. It's like maybe we have our own too.
Yeah. So the social aspect, having the community, which is obviously huge for like personal development, things like that. That was kind of Ian's takeaway. AG, what's your?
You got more?
Go ahead.
So what jiu-jitsu?
How does it like contribute to your life in a way that like might be important for like youth and things like that? Or maybe not necessarily youth.
Yeah. Because I'm an older guy. I started jiu-jitsu at 46. I'm still 46.
Nice.
And I feel like doing jiu-jitsu and getting involved in it put me in a space that allowed me to process the world in a different way, to see how everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it did that by the loss of self, the loss of ego, and the connectedness of our family, our jiu-jitsu family. And, just to go off of, the family aspect of it and building the friendships here, it's like, one of the best ways to make a friend of another guy is to kick his ass, or he kicks your ass.
Right.
You're instant friends after that. It's such a strange thing.
Either fight him or get drunk with him. Those are the two best ways to make friends.
The original archetypes of life,
But the understanding of where prejudice comes from, and removing that.
Like talking about like when you look at like people that look like they can't fight, but they're badasses in the gym. things
Sure.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, they're short, they're tall, they're fat. Whatever thing that you do to judge somebody when you see them or whatever, those don't mean anything.
Yeah, that's for
And
sure.
when you realize they don't mean anything, you stop thinking about it. You know, it's just not part of the thing. And so for me, it had a huge impact on my spiritual life and social life too. Yeah, and cognitive.
Nice.
You know. And health too. Just how everything
Health
is
for sure.
connected.
Yeah. I will go next, so I want to end with you, so then you can kind of tie that into the kids, and then we'll be about on time right there. So I think the biggest thing I took from jiu-jitsu, like, change how I approach all things in life. Kind of like the Musashi quote, like, once you know the way generally, you can learn the way in anything. So it changed the way that I learn specific things. Like if I need to go learn a new skill, I know how to learn now, you know, and I know how to like learn from failures. And I know one of the biggest lessons is just that like, you know, mat time overcomes almost all deficits, you know, almost all deficits. So, and so I learned, you know, if I need to learn something new or get good at something new, I know how to like prioritize my hours, how to put the time in, how to be okay with like sucking at something for a long time, and then how to fail, evaluate, adjust, and try again, you know. And if you needed to learn jiu-jitsu in a vacuum without an instructor, those are the only 4 steps you need, you know, like fail, evaluate, adjust, retry, and then just keep doing it, you know. So I learned how to learn through jiu-jitsu, and also just kind of like, this is kind of hard to explain, but like, I don't even know if I can explain this. Let me think on it. I'll find a better way. But yeah, so basically how to learn things, how to learn new skills, how to fail. Oh yeah. So this is a better way to put this. When things happen in life, so say this goes wrong in life, I treat it the same, and not intentionally. I didn't go like, let me jiu-jitsu this life effect. It just became a habit, because when I get tapped in jiu-jitsu, like I'm like, or I get my guard passed or whatever, I look at it like very, like disconnected from it. What's that?
Analytically.
Yeah, analytically. I'd be like, okay, what did he do exactly, or he or she, to pass my guard? How, in like very literal terms, like, okay, he put his knee there. How can I stop that? Bam. Now I know that's not going to happen anymore. And that changed like anything negative that seems negative in my life. It changed that whole thing, because anytime something negative happens, I 99% of the time can look at it and be like, why did this happen? Okay, this is what I did wrong, and that's what made that happen. What do I need to do moving forward? And I can deal with negative things so much better, because all of those things now have a positive outcome. Because I can be like, that happened, I learned from it, I now know how to avoid it, and now I've grown from it, and therefore I'm better, therefore that thing is not really negative. Now obviously there's exceptions, relatives die, things like that, that's not the same. But like in terms of like my relationships and my professional life, I rarely get down when things go wrong. You know, I maybe get frustrated for half the day, and then I'm like, all right, let me think about this. Cool, now I'm better at life, you know? So that's mine. So.
Okay. I totally, how I input what you said was, our van broke down. Well, actually, I had to take my van to the shop, to the dealership, and they did some shady stuff, and it actually created a problem. And we broke down on a road trip fundraising, and I really had to think from a perspective of jiu-jitsu, because I was talking to the service guy there, and I was explaining to him the value of jiu-jitsu and his kids. So if I'm going to explain to him about something, then I can't lose my cool too. I can't be the guy who knows the right thing and then allow myself to be the guy who does the wrong thing. So My buddy told me this a long time ago. He says, well, we train at Gracie Baja. He says, you're always a Gracie Baja black belt wherever you are. Wherever you are, whatever you do. So if you're at a bar and people are fighting, and if you're the guy fighting, you're a Gracie Baja black belt that's fighting. You see what I'm saying? So jiu-jitsu's taught me to keep my cool. You know what I'm saying? Keep my cool no matter what goes on. And because everybody's watching. Whether you know they're watching or not, everyone's watching. When you have a nonprofit, everyone's watching. They're not necessarily watching for your success or your failure. They're just watching to see where you're going. And going to as many schools as we've gone to, we've been to, like I said, maybe 200 schools. I really don't count because I just know there's a lot. But the point is, everyone's watching. So that keeps me on my game, keeps me alert, keeps me awake, make sure that what I'm saying is actually correct. And that's kind of the medicine that the kids need. They need to have some level of an accountability system that keeps them thinking, hey, I got to stay on top of my game. I think a lot of what's happened with youth now is there is no system. We don't have wood shop. Jiu-jitsu is like wood shop. It's like metal shop. Okay, it's the physical touch. We need that. You know, people are happy when they build stuff. You were just telling me you were building something, right? Building a loft, right?
I'm a builder.
That's right. So building makes people happy. And
Hey, I built these mats.
You see what I'm saying? So if you really break down what you
Ask him about the $7,000 barn door, bro.
what is there a $7,000 barn somewhere too?
Door.
Barn
door.
He's that good and worth it.
Well, look, exactly. And so is your school. So is the people that are around you. The people around you, they're worth it. They're worth the investment. So it's just up to us to do the work, show up. And that's why my wife, we travel everywhere. We travel by van. We don't take planes because there's something about the road, connecting with the road, talking to the people. We've given people jam at gas stations and talked about jiu-jitsu as our tagline, spreading jiu-jitsu like jam.
Yeah, I'm a total jiu-jitsu evangelist. I probably
There
tell
you go.
like 3 or 4 people about jiu-jitsu every day.
Has anybody like hit you in the head?
Oh yeah, in the sauna, it's like we talk about
You
jiu-jitsu.
did it in the sauna
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu and Jesus.
Well, I think well, it's cool because once you start to train more and you have like I call it the legitimacy behind you with your jiu-jitsu, then it's even better because when you talk to people, you can really give them like direct lines. And when you know, like, say if you know somebody that lives in a particular town, hey, that school's really good over there. Go train with those people. A lot of people are looking for like a network connection. Like, oh yeah, okay, that school's really good. It's good for kids. It's a good school for kids. So yeah, that's what I love about traveling and seeing all the different people. Yeah.
You're going to meet a lot of different people from walks of life here, man, and you connect with them on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I just come back to Chuck, man. He's a police officer, and I
Yes.
never thought I'd ever roll with a police officer. But he's a totally cool dude, man.
Our jobs don't define
the prejudice,
us.
right?
Yes.
The prejudice thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, he's a cool dude. I had fun with it. It was awesome, man. Just you meet all these people
Yep.
in life, and and you gotta leave it. It changes you, right? Like
It
you're,
does.
yeah.
It
I
changes.
don't know, man.
Yeah, everybody's the same when they walk through that door. Doesn't matter what they do on the outside.
Well, same, but you're different at the same time too. What you bring is different, and as the more you train, you'll see like everybody's actually a lot different, and that difference is kind of really interesting because then you get to learn more about yourself. Like, do I really know what I'm talking about today, or do I not? Do I got to listen? Some days it's just a good day to listen. Some days I got to talk. It depends, I'm not a public speaker, but jiu-jitsu's forced me to speak. You know what I'm saying? So I have to do what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, what I meant by that was everybody's on the same kind of level, respect-wise.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't matter if I'm Elon Musk when I'm on the mat, right?
Well, it does. I mean, Fractional Jiu-Jitsu needs donations, so
Right.
Hey, so if you're Elon, I don't know how good your cars are, but I would say jiu-jitsu is really affordable. And I know about 1,000 kids right now that can.
I guess you just want to argue, I guess.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I get like yeah. within the class, in terms of like doing jiu-jitsu, everybody's equal. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then once you get off the mat and you change back into your regular clothes, if you got more money to donate, donate it.
Can I just say real quick too?
Oh yeah.
We do have a Patreon on our website.
Nah, that's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah. So people can donate there as low as $5 a month, and like I said, I think we have like 20 people that donate to us for the last. That we keep building more people. It's not like a groundswell, but that's what grassroots is. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Oh
how do you
my
go
God!
to it?
I'm sorry. FosteringJujitsu.org is our Instagram. FosteringJujitsu.org. And
that's your Instagram or your website?
I'm sorry, that's our website.
Okay.
And at Fostering Jiu-Jitsu is our Instagram. And
who had FosteringJujitsu.com taken?
I didn't take .com because we're a nonprofit, so I went .org.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
okay.
a nonprofit, so I
Gotcha.
went .org.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it means anything more, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was taken. Someone had it already. Okay, cool. So FosteringJujitsu.com, and then is it /.org?
Yes.
And then it's / Patreon, or how do they find your Patreon?
If they just go to FosteringJujitsu.org, it brings up the Patreon. So
oh, okay, gotcha.
It's linked to the Patreon. The Patreons are pretty much our main website. Most of our activities are really Instagram, because that's where you can see us making donations to the youth that we make donations to. My wife pretty much runs all of our Instagram stuff, and it's nice. I like our Instagram followers are actual people we met.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Most of them, or what, they say 6 degrees of separation. I think it's 1 degree of separation now. We've traveled so much, and we've met a person that knew another person.
Especially within the jiu-jitsu community, it's not.
Yeah.
It's getting bigger, but it's not a huge thing.
We're not a. We're the little engine that's doing big things, and COVID was the best thing that ever happened for jiu-jitsu. It expanded jiu-jitsu, because I always ask these questions: why are you training? Why are your kids training? A lot of people are telling me it's like a bucket list. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I don't know if it's a sign of the end of the world and they're ready to fight, or if it's awesome that people are just realizing they need physicality and connectedness in their life. And I think that's an awesome thing. And so, and I also DJ too. So I DJ at jiu-jitsu shows. There's a show up north called Artesuave, and it's super fights. And I DJ there. My wife's the MC. She calls out all the fighters. And yeah, and I like DJing jiu-jitsu open mats. It's really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's a guy named, I don't know if you know who Steven Martinez is. He runs a school called Peerless Jiu-Jitsu in Corona.
Oh yeah, I do know him. Yeah.
Oh, Steven, he's tough, and he's got a great school. So we'll usually go there every 2 months. We do their open mats on a Sunday, just DJ and bring our that's called our double jams. We bring the jams and the jams, double jams, and yeah, so it's cool. I DJ'd for a long time, and I like DJing just jiu-jitsu events, and I don't do weddings and stuff, but just jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you adjust your playlist?
You want the music flavors, or you want the
I thought you meant music flavors for sure.
The jams? Okay, well, we make at least 11 different flavors of jam at different times. But right now, we currently have a blackberry, which we call black belt jam. I try to keep it jiu-jitsu themed.
Yeah.
We have a blueberry jam, which is our blue belt jam. There is no white belt jam because why? You got to have goals so you get to the blue belt. We have a purple belt plum jam. We have a raspberry apricot nectarine jam we call Rash Guard. That's our nogi jam. And then we have a mixed berry jam, which is our red belt mixed berry jam, which is raspberries. It's our strawberry, blueberry, and cherry. And we have a regular strawberry jam, which is called Ichigo, just because Ichigo that means strawberry in Japanese.
Oh, okay.
So I have daughters that live in Japan, so I've been to Japan a lot. I've trained jiu-jitsu a lot over there too.
Nice.
And so I wanted to have something that was Japanese based. our number one selling jam is pineapple jam.
Oh, that's cool. That's unique. You don't see that much.
It's I make more pineapple jam than any jam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
and it's fun making the jams. Like I said, it's turned into an art form, and like you said about skills, jiu-jitsu's taught me how to make things. I'm not good at a lot of stuff, but the things that I learned that I really work hard towards, it's taught me how to get better and better. So
Yeah.
I'm always critiquing my jam, like trying to figure out how to get it just perfect. And now my wife's taste is like totally geared in. This one's good. This is not good. Keep going. Got to keep going. You know. So
Can I give you one feedback on one of those things?
Yeah.
The rash guard flavor
Yeah.
is really unappetizing.
Which one? Rash guard.
Yeah, because it makes me think of sweat and smelliness.
Okay. Well, it was our
Just
only,
a name. Yeah,
I know, it's just a name. Okay, when you taste the jam,
Yeah.
you won't feel that way.
Okay. I'm sure it's good.
Well, it's just the name. And eventually, one of our goals is to turn our rash guards, make rash guards that are going to be our different jams.
Okay, nice.
So we can kind of create. I don't know if it would be a rash guard. Remember those stickers back in the day?
Yeah, I forgot about the existence of scratch and sniff.
Yeah, that was around. Well, when you try the jams today, you'll get to see, how all the different jams taste, and they're really good. It's
Nice.
weird, like people like them.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm excited to taste them.
Yeah,
So we gotta wrap up now. We gotta get you guys set up. We have our kids class coming up. So if you are listening to this podcast or watching it, you're on YouTube right now. Right now we're only on YouTube. We want to stick exclusively to that. So subscribe, hit the like button, comment, help us push the video out to other people. If you want to follow the school, it's Prism Jiu-Jitsu on all social media platforms. I'm Nick Angeloni 155 on pretty much everything.
At Fostering Jiu-Jitsu.
At Fostering Jiu-Jitsu for if you want to follow the nonprofit, on Instagram. And then we got AG.
I'm on Instagram, EIJIPhoto 2.0, and I do photography and exercise stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me at EAN_510 on Instagram too.
All right, cool. We're out.